And welcome to Nevada County Online. We are going to have some really good information today because we have two superstars. Oh, somebody's phone.
Sorry about
Holly turned the phone on.
Reminder for the rest of
Yeah, good reminder for the rest of us. Mine may ding because I have someone in the hospital, so I need to pay attention. So sometimes it's okay, but you should just put it on quiet mode. So I'm Susie Daggett, Nevada County Online, one of the co-co-cos. This is another Coryon, and Machen, who will come in, is another one. So we have, I think, 387 members today. We're the largest meetup in maybe the world, we'll call it that. But Sacramento. Yeah, we'll have to, you can investigate that.
We're going to just make unsubstantiated claims for the rest
We
of the
do, and it works fine. So I would like to ask, who is new here today? I see a couple of new people. Golly, welcome. Could you mind shouting out how you heard about Nevada County Online?
My name's Matthew. Nate told me about this group here today, but NCO Nevada County Online. Yes.
That's it. Woo, he gets
You're in the right
it. Anyone else? How'd you find out?
I'm Scott Costa with Water Heaters Only, and actually I'm here with you.
An inside track. How about you?
I found them online.
Good. Online through meetups.
I'm a mentor with Bob Geis at SCORE. He invited me up here. I don't see Bob. He's
I saw him earlier.
Oh, he is? Okay.
He'll come in.
He's like, yeah, show up. And so now I'm here just to get a little bit familiar with your content and meet some people.
Well, great. Who else is new? Yes, Holly.
Holly. I don't remember.
Oh, that's all right. Yes.
And I'm Allison Johnson, and I learned about it from Doug.
All right. Thank you all for sharing what we do here, because we do some rather remarkable things. I'm not a technical person at all, but I do learn a lot of hints to make my business better. So, talking about that, anyone have any good things to say about what they've learned here and how it's helped them in their business?
So this is the section of the
Sharing.
meeting where if you have any wins of anything you've been working on recently related to internet marketing, or any questions, any obstacles, challenges that you'd like to get some help from folks in the audience. But this is really just an open place where if you've got anything to share, now's the time.
Okay.
I have found my social media blockbuster, which is Pinterest.
Ah,
I happen to love Pinterest, and I am all of a sudden getting a lot of followers. Now I have to learn how to funnel them back to my website.
you can put your website
On
in there.
I do have a business Pinterest page, and then I have to have something to sell on the website.
Mhm.
So that's my next step. But I'm really happy that I found something that I can put my time and energy into without feeling like I have to.
Ah, because it's fun.
Yeah.
Good, good, good. Who else? Anyone else? Yes. Doug.
I had two ways. One is I did a video review of a folding kayak called the Coryon. It's like a 12-foot sea kayak that folds up to the size of like a card table. And did a video review on it. They liked it so much that we may be doing some business together. And then just last night I finished my first online course that I put together. And it's actually going to be on using Google Hangouts and YouTube.
Yay, and we're going to learn about that
Next month.
next month. Doug is our speaker on Google Hangouts. Does anyone know what that is? Anyone use it?
Don't know how to use it.
Good, good. I'm dying to get educated on it because I think it's a really good format. So, let's see, those are the wins. I don't...
Any other ones?
Yeah.
Good.
We, we work by donations, a $5 donation, and our greeter, Laura, is a very busy realtor, and she is not here, but she will be here at the end of the meeting. So if we could then, as you funnel out, put your $5 in, we'd really, really appreciate it.
Okay.
And I don't know yet if we're going to have a
If we want, we
sponsor.
can
Oh,
pass
yeah.
around the-
Yeah, we could pass it around.
the small laundry
Jeannie's got a
basket,
basket. So we could do it that way. When Machen comes, we'll know if we have a sponsor, and then we'll do a drawing. It's always a surprise.
Yeah, and let me do a brief introduction of the group, particularly since there's some new folks here about who we are and what we're working toward. Nevada County Online meets once a month. Today is the fourth Tuesday of the month at 11 a.m. We bring in internet marketing speakers on a variety of topics. So everything from, excuse me?
Always the fourth Tuesday.
Always the fourth Tuesday, always at 11 a.m.
Except
always
December.
here.
Except December,
Oh,
because
except
we do our
December.
party.
That's true. So we cover a variety of topics from social media marketing, search engine optimization, web design, Pinterest, content marketing, email marketing. All of those presentations, most of those videos are available on our website at nevadacountyonline.com. We also have presentations and more information about our speakers. There's also a page there for anyone who is a specialist in one of those areas. So if you are a member of the group, we can add you to that page if you're a graphic artist or a web designer or a marketer, that we're working as a collaborative setting. So that means that people are sharing their experiences, sharing their tricks, their skills, and working to make Nevada County a place where we have some expertise and we can help each other advance our businesses. So we are business focused, but at the same time, we're about community. And we do have 3 co-sponsors with Susie, Nation, and myself. We're also open to other people joining our leadership and contributing. So the ways that you can do that is talk to one of us, but we need help with people, whether it's promoting the group or helping just with administrative tasks, and anything that you've got a particular talent or skill that you see would benefit us, we're really open to that. That's the basic idea. We will be out of this room promptly at 12:30 today. We need to have everyone out because it's one of the conditions of using this room for the library. But feel free to network, get to know people a little bit more. Oftentimes we're hanging out outside
On
the
our
room.
porch, outside.
Yes.
And another thing, if you want to sponsor a meetup, it's a very simple, easy fee, and you get to come up here and talk about your business. And then you can also have that link on our website. We have 2 websites, Nevada County Online Meetup and NevadaCountyOnline.com. And we have a Facebook page where people post, oh, I do this and that, and I need this and that. So use it, make it viable. And one other thing that you forgot to talk about was speakers.
Yeah.
If you have somebody, I think Bob has a speaker idea. If you have a speaker idea, talk to Coryon. He's the guy who organizes it. Okay, now you just have to sit down.
Oh, I do.
I'm very pushy. So today we have the pleasure of having a duo who are going to help us understand blogging. Who blogs here? Anybody blog? Oh, the Maso Menace. Okay, well, we can deal with all that. And I'm going to introduce Erin Thiem is the owner of the Outside Inn. Does everybody know where that is? Downtown Nevada City? There's a little box right outside of it that says free pickup. So if you have extra veggies, go put them there and people will take them and eat them. Fabulous place to stay. Every room is completely different and it's geared to an outside sort of group. And she's also a photographer and a major advocate for Nevada City. Major. She does a blog that is followed by, she'll tell you how many people, 2.5 ducks. But anyway, a lot of people, and she really tells what's going on in the community. It's really fabulous for everybody. And she's a busy mom, and we're lucky to have her here. Coryon, as you all know, is the CEO and founder of Batteries for Less and Coryon.com Internet Marketing. As you know, he's a big driver of this group, an entrepreneur, consultant, trainer, speaker, Teacher of the Year for the Placer County School of Adults. So I would love it if the 2 of you come up and really help us understand the benefits and the joys of blogging. It's all yours.
That's us?
Yeah, that's you. Ready?
Hi, everyone. I'm glad you wear a tie, so I'm not the only one here wearing a tie.
Take it off.
Yeah. You want the liquor?
No, I'm just asking if you have it.
Yeah, of course I've got it.
Okay.
So this came together because a few years ago I was looking at bloggers in Nevada County, and the question I had was who were the most successful bloggers? Who were the bloggers with the most influence and the ones that were using their blogs for business and growing their business through that? And with a little bit of research, I found Erin and started a conversation with her. And helped her out with some consulting here and there for her business, but learned a lot from her about what it takes to have a successful blog. So we'll be tag teaming on this today and using a lot of examples from Erin's experience as the blogger and the owner of Outside In Motel in Nevada City. So the first thing that you need to know, there we go, is there are a lot of references in this presentation, links to articles, support, things like that. The only thing you really need to write down if you want access to those is this web address. It's on my website, coryon.com/NCO-blogging. And sorry, Doug, this is script your shot. Take a look at that so I'm not looking at the screen. Yeah. Ready?
Okay.
Shot plug. Okay, so I was able to turn away just as you did that, so forget about Douglas for now. The key question for most businesses is why should you blog for business? Why is it worth the time? Because it is a commitment of time, effort, energy to do it, and what are you going to get out of it? So let's talk about that a little bit. The key thing for blogging for me is having it be goal-driven. Have some distinct things that you're working to do. So first of all, it's about generating traffic to your website, generating leads and sales. So it's not going to be the first thing you necessarily get out of blogging. It's about building your audience. But at the same time, that's your ultimate goal, is using it to build your business and the cash flow, the revenue. And it's also about building trust and building your audience over time. If people get to know you through your insights, your voice, you can do what Seth Godin talks about, which is build your tribe and have people really look to you as an authority and get that conversation going. And part of that is that as you're building up that tribe and as you're using it to promote your content into social media, that is link bait for SEO. So SEO stands for search engine optimization. And what that means is Google and other search engines seeing that your website, your content, your pages are important enough to rank for keywords, and ideally ranking for keywords that are important for your business. So for example, where do you rank if somebody was going to search for hotel in Nevada City on Google? Number one. And a big part of that is because she's got this system of blogging, but also the links and the social love that comes from that. And a big part of blogging too is answering questions. Regardless of what you do in business, people that are in your ideal market, your audience, are asking questions. And through your experience, you can answer those questions, really share your expertise. That's going to build up your prestige and the trust, again, that people have with you. But over time, it means that when people look for something to do in Nevada City, they're going to go to Outside In. So you told the story, and I should say that Erin and I taught this class as a two-part class for Sierra Commons. So we've done this before, so I might ask you to go back to different things you told. But you mentioned that at one point, people stayed at the hotel, relatives of yours, but now they're kind of tracking Nevada City.
Oh no, they were relatives of someone who got married in Nevada City, so they weren't my relatives. They were a local
Relatives
wedding.
of somebody.
Somebody's relatives. They live in New Hampshire, and so I saw the bride, now she lives in Tahoe, and she said that she loves hearing from the relatives who live in New Hampshire about all these things that are happening in Nevada City that she's completely unaware of because they get the email for the blog and follow it online. So they were more clued in about our community than she is. She thought that was really fun.
Yeah. So people keep in touch with good content. So let's talk about overall the specific goals. So marketing is about branding and content. So building customer engagement. A blog, by definition, is an interactive medium. So, how many people know what blog stands for? What's blog stand for?
Weblog.
Weblog. And that's coming from the start of the internet, where people were just starting out by just essentially journaling online and sharing that. But now it's grown into a medium of its own. And for example, do you guys know that for the White House Correspondents' Dinner, that it's a big press event. Like, you need to be somebody to get invited to that. There are now more and more bloggers every year that are invited that attend that because blogging is considered a legitimate form of media and a form of mass communication. So if you think about that even if you're doing it in your niche for your business, people are reading blogs, people are interacting through blogs, and overall, that conversation is happening there. And all of everything we're talking about for internet marketing in this group and blogging is based on traditional marketing. So it's evolved and it's changed, but a big part of that is building brand awareness. So Erin, what is your brand?
Well, I own the Outside Inn, which is a motel in Nevada City, but my brand awareness is like the girl who knows that everything that's happening in our community and what's to do, what's going on, where to eat, things to go shopping. So I have a community knowledge brand awareness.
And generally, you're pretty mean-spirited about that?
Terribly mean-spirited. No, my blog is all positive. But like I think about my guests at the motel, they all have, I get a lot of repeat guests, and so like I get everything is positive about the blog. Anyways, the blog is all positive. I'm building positive relationships with other businesses and organizations and things to do.
And one of the examples she gave in the previous class was she goes out to eat, and she'll blog about the different places she'll go out to eat and be positive about that. And she said that she went out to eat at one unnamed restaurant in town that all she talked about was the bar, which you can presume from the lack of information about the food that the food wasn't the best, but the bar atmosphere was lovely.
But you can put a positive spin on anything if that's your effort, so yeah.
But it's part of the brand awareness that you're building, whether it's an expertise, whether it's insightfulness, or whether it's a positive spin, or even a critical spin. It's part of your brand. And it's also about good content. How many of you have been to the Outside In blog?
How many
So
of
just
you
a handful.
are going to go now?
Erin is a photographer. We'll get into more details in a moment, but that is her great content. She picks up her camera, she walks around during events, she goes and explores the city, she takes in the different times of the years, the things that bring tourists here to Nevada City. She captures that with really high quality photography. So that's where a blog doesn't have to be. You know, you've heard these numbers, and you may be asking this, what is the ideal length of a blog? Is it 400 words? No, it depends on your market, it depends on your audience. So many of Erin's blogs are, a dozen photographs and, just a handful of words, because the photography is the content. So whether you're doing a video review for a kayak that you might put on as a blog post, or whether you're doing photography, really think about where your strengths are for that content. But it has to be quality and it has to be considered. So along that line, what are the topics that you're going to write about? What is your expertise? What's your passion? And how can you show your mission? And part of that for Erin is having that passion, being an advocate for our area. And again, the goal there, mentioned it again, the website leads, traffic, and revenue. So I'm going to go through this very briefly, but one of the things that I find is important in putting in context is that, again, everything that we're talking about for blog marketing here is all part of traditional marketing. So I know that you can get an MBA in business and a marketing focus. You can get degrees and you can spend years studying marketing. It is my goal today, ladies and gentlemen, to cover everything you need to know about marketing in a single slide. So the first question is, who is your market? Who are the ideal people that you want to attract to your business? And really spend some time thinking about that. What are the topics? What are the things they're interested in? How does that overlap your expertise? But making sure that you have a focus in your blog. That, I have read a fair number of blogs, and most of them I tend to go back to are good and they're consistent. But occasionally you'll get the one where I read about internet marketing things, and it'll be internet marketing, and then here's my family vacation. Is that consistent? Is that what I'm there to learn about? If you establish that you're going to talk about your life, but also tied into business as part of your voice, great. That can be a consistent voice. But when it's inconsistent, it really can throw off your market. Again, it's about branding. Take a moment there. When I say the word brand or branding, what comes to your mind? What are some of the concepts? I'd like to hear from you guys.
Camel.
Cat. Wait.
That's what I can find.
Okay.
That's all I know about brand.
I was thinking like sheep, like, oh, we're just being hypnotized. No, it's cattle. Okay, let's talk about this is marketing. This is not the Nevada County Livestock Association. So regarding branding, what are some of the concepts?
Nike, let's say.
Okay, so I'll get to Nike as an example in a moment. But what is branding? Logo? Yep.
Recognition.
Recognition. Good. What else?
Repetition.
Repetition?
It's really more about what the customer thinks you are.
Yes. So what is that image? What is that brand? What's that logo? So an example, if I was to say Walt Disney, what's the image that pops into your head?
Cartoons.
Cartoons.
Mickey Mouse.
Mickey Mouse? How many of you guys got the castle?
Castle.
The castle, the rainbow across it, the kind of cursive, family friendly. All right, how about if I said Harley Davidson? What's the brand? Motorcycle, but what's the
Hell's Angels.
Yeah.
Hell's Angels. Hell's
Sound.
Harley Davidson is often called a rebel brand. Everything that the rest of the people are about, we are rugged individualists and we're going to do our own thing. Those are all aspects of that image. And one of the things Craig mentioned is it's about how the audience thinks about you. So a big part of branding now is not the company projecting their image. That's part of it. But it's also the audience saying, what is your experience? How are peer-to-peer explaining that brand and relating to that? Yeah?
Because isn't it also true about Harley Davidson that the Hells Angels kind of helped make them who they are? They didn't like invite the Hells Angels to kind of be their mascot, so to speak, but the Hells Angels took on, like, this is our thing, and then everyone associates it with, like, their brand name, too.
But it was, from the very beginning, Harley Davidson's brand was about that rebel idea. So motorcycle clubs gravitated to that, and that was, I think, a real synergistic thing. So that when you realize, oh, the Hells Angels are going to, if you're Disney and you're like, hey, the Hells Angels love us! And that's where that consistency of brand is really important, where Harley Davidson said, okay, we're going to be consistently rebel. Let's see how we can build those audiences and build that into what it is. I just wanted to mention that because when you're thinking about your blog, it is an extension of your brand. And whatever you do, whether it's water heaters only, being consistent, quality, fast service, those are elements that you're going to put into your blog and make sure that it's your expertise saying, this is what we do well, but those elements are going to be reinforced. And what's your mission? Why are you in business? I don't have time to show this, but I encourage you to go take a look at this presentation later. Has anyone heard of Simon Sinek? Yeah, we got one. Okay, let's start here. How many of you have heard of or seen a TED Talk? Okay, great. So go look him up on TED. He's got some great presentations, but this one in particular talks about the key idea for successful businesses is the why you're in business as the core. Right. So what you're doing is the why more than the what. And that again is something that can influence your marketing overall. And remember, the only thing you need to write down, because you're trying to write this down, which is awkward because is that an O or a 0? I think it's a capital O. It has to be case sensitive. Remember, it's coryon.com/NCO-blogging. Everything will be a live link there. Manage your message. It takes time and effort. And that's where, again, figuring out what is the message you're going to be broadcasting into your market.
Oh, wait. Sorry.
She didn't get that part.
Okay. You know, you don't have to type up everything that's on the slides, right, Nate?
I just like to have it here.
Okay, and I won't go into too much, but I encourage you, if you want to look at core marketing's features versus benefits, because I see that's a common mistake with many websites, with much marketing. Features are, what do we have? Water bottle. Okay, I'm selling water bottles. Steel water bottles have grown a lot in the market in the last few years. So what are the features? Well, it is solid, it holds volume, it's got a cap that can move up and down so I can take a nice refreshing sip and close it up again. It's got a little handle that I can carry it on. Those are all features. Those are definitive things that this does. The benefits are, well, the benefit of having this handle means that I can go hiking and I can hang it on my belt. The benefit of having this opening and closing, it means that I can take a sip and it's convenient to be able to just close it up and tap it up again. The benefit of it being metal, I didn't want to break the floor of the library, is that it's durable. I've dented it and it still works. Those are benefits that mean it's whether it's convenience or what does it actually mean for your business, what you provide. What does that provide to your audience? How does that make their life simpler or better overall? Yes?
And one of the things that I've seen talked about is people buy your product not because of your product, but because of what it does for them, how it makes their life better, their experience better. So they buy outcomes, they don't buy the product.
Yes, and much about marketing is making sure that you're connecting with that emotional outcome, so that if you're an IT company and what you're selling is very complex technical products, and you can go through and list about your VoIP and your networking abilities, or you can simply say, we will make sure that you don't have to think about your computers operating. They're just going to work, so you can focus on what you do well. But think about that for your marketing, and again, this is marketing in one slide. And finally, marketing is not selling. Selling is an outcome, and you can tie into marketing, but just for example in your blog, if you're overly salesy, if you're that insurance salesman at the party who goes up to somebody and says, hey, here's my business card, you're looking a little peaked. Have you considered your life insurance options? It's not necessarily going to connect with people. It's a matter of getting to know somebody, find out more about them, and then figure out how they're marketing, and then going into selling, saying, okay, well, hey, now that I know your kids' names, and I know you like to travel, things like that, if you have a chance to talk to me because I offer some options for travel insurance, that might be something you want to look at. It's a little bit different. Okay. This is about you.
What do the slides say?
And you can, if you want to swing.
This one? Oh, this one? What am I supposed to put?
Yeah, the forward arrow.
Okay, so my mother started the Outside Inn in 1998. It was the motel no one would have ever stayed in, and she redid all the rooms. And my husband went to grad school overseas, and we had our children there. And in order to get us to come home, she retired, and I took over the business. So wanting to have my take on business, we already had a great clientele, the business was doing well, things are good. But I wanted to have my perspective on it. And I like to take photos, and I've liked to take photos for a long time. So I figured having a blog would be a kind of a fun way to incorporate my passion into the business and sort of give it a new life. So I set out to do a blog on all the things that I do as my day job, which is, where should we go to eat? How do I get to the river? Like, I need to go buy a present for so-and-so. I'm interested in this event. So I get asked these questions on a daily basis, sometimes several times over. And so why not put all that information into a blog that's available for anyone, either the guests that are staying at the Outside Inn, or the people who are searching for things to do in our area, or the locals who didn't know about X, Y, and Z in their own neighborhood. So the blog was specifically designed to promote our community and not the actual Outside Inn, which is a good example of your not selling. So yeah, the hospitality industry, well, anyways, we're a motel, that's pretty self-explanatory. Locally focused marketing. I mean, I do blog about things occasionally outside of Nevada County, but the focus is primarily Nevada City, Grass Valley, and our community within the county line, since the world is too big to focus on everything. And then Coryon put this link in one of our previous PowerPoints, so I actually went back and updated this page, which is current, so you can read about us and my community involvement on that link. Yeah, there you go, that's about me. This was a good slide. So I'm sure many of you know that Hallmark filmed a movie in Nevada City called The Christmas Card a number of years ago. And I did a blog post on the locations for the Christmas Card movie, because there's different places around town. They did the Methodist Church, they did the Nevada City Classic, they did the National Hotel, they have this memorial down at the 49 Bridge at the Yuba. So I put together a blog post with the pictures of the actual locations. So every time someone watches the movie, when it airs on the Hallmark thing, my traffic for that blog post goes through the roof. So it's sort of a good way to think about, like, how can you think outside of the box? Like, I don't particularly like the movie, but it does a really great job of promoting our community, and I'm going to utilize the fact that Hallmark is kind of playing it all over the country in these peak times during the holiday season, and wrote a blog post for it. So. And then what I did was I took pictures of the snow in December and then put some graphic on and put it on Pinterest. So I then recycled the original content in a new way and got more traffic. So that's a good example.
So can you take your own photos and put it on Pinterest?
I mean, my only word of caution to people is if it's not on an existing website or your blog, if you upload the photo from your computer, it's not sourced to anything. And if you're like me, everything is about connecting back to my blog or my website. So if you're searching for Nevada City locations and you found that photo, before, if you click on it, you'll automatically end up at the Outside In's website. Just really
Erin?
the goal.
Is that the new thing that Pinterest, or maybe it's not new, they ask you to verify your website?
No,
And
that just
did it?
says, that's something you can put into into the code of your website, and
Okay,
it'll tell that
right.
you're legit.
And could you talk just a minute about putting your copyright on your photo? as
So
a
I
photographer?
watermark all my photos. I have many opinions about photos and usage, which we don't have time for, and I would prefer not to watermark them, but unfortunately, the general public is not savvy on the fact that these are my photos and they can't use them for their business's purposes. So if I watermark them, then eventually they'll think about it maybe a second longer before they crop out the watermark and post it on their website. So, yeah, I do that through a program on my computer with my photo editing. You can get other ones. There's an iPhone app that you can add a watermark to.
Really?
I just take so many photos that I find them out and about. So,
Thank you.
yeah. Anyway, this is a particular slide or an image I put together. I wrote a blog post actually 2 years ago, and it was titled Best in Nevada County Hikes, and somehow the terms in it, whatever I wrote, was basically just a write-up of, I think, like a dozen hikes that I had profiled over the last year, and it gets traffic every week of people obviously searching for best of Nevada County hikes. And so I, once again, repackaged the existing content and put it on Pinterest just to freshen it up. So a great way to think about once you have an archive of blogs is you can go back and reuse some of your existing content in new ways and get the word out about it. And then this is a slide for, I like to give things away on my blog. And I give away little things over the course of the year. And the last 2 years in December, I've done last year's was called the Epic Giveaway. The year before, Ultimate Giveaway. I don't know, maybe we'll come up with a term for what this year's giveaway will be called. But it's just proof of the positive relationships of working with other businesses in our community. And my basket, when I added up everything, was over $1,000. And that was all from people being like, yes, I want to be a part of your blog. I want to be a part of this giveaway. I'm so excited about what you do for our community. How can I play along? And so all the person had to do was post a comment on the blog about why they liked the blog, which was actually a really fun market study. And one person won this amazing giveaway on Christmas Day, and she was a very happy person. So I do giveaways of all sizes, and this one's just one of the larger ones. But if your blog has an option of doing a giveaway, I think it's a fun way to get more interactive comments and interest and excitement.
I won a Treats ice cream cone one time on your blog.
See, I can make her happy with a $3 giveaway. Brand loyalty, you know, like that people keep coming back and back.
Why do all those businesses donate to you?
Why?
Yeah, how do you
Because
get
I'm
some-
awesome. It actually started with this, the bin from this, the container, was from Peaceful Valley, and Charlotte, who doesn't work there anymore, sent me a message being like, so are you going to do another giveaway in like I had done the year before? I've got the perfect bin. So she was the one who like stirred the pot. I'm like, oh, I don't have time for this. And then it sort of organically all came together. So a few emails to the like, hey, I'm going to do this. You want to play along? And like people are dropping things off right and left at the motel. Like, yeah, I want to do it. So did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll go into more detail about it. But
Yeah.
Erin, in her introduction, I'm not sure if Susie mentioned, is a shameless promoter. So one of the things that she's really good at is tying in other businesses in town, so that she'll tag other businesses on a regular basis, and so people get aware of that they're being mentioned. They'll interact with that. She'll also send an email to people saying, hey, you're mentioned in this blog, and over time she's built up this awareness among local businesses. So it's not just the fact that you're awesome, but that you've promoted that and over time built up your reputation and your connections with all these businesses, so that the next time when you do a contest like this, people know who you are, they know the benefit of being connected with you,
Yeah.
and they're willing to actually donate something that costs them some skin to make.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of the things in that basket were under $25, so it wasn't. And actually, I think one of the local shops downtown put it well when she said, you're the best free advertising ever. Of course. Why would I, like she could give me $20 and she'll get what the newspaper would charge her $500 for. So, and I think I have a slightly different audience. So I think that knowing your market and knowing which are the great outlets for promoting whatever it is you're doing, and finding those like-minded options is good. So.
Does the city link to your site?
Sorry, what was that?
Does the city website link to your site?
I don't think so.
How about the chamber?
No, I mean, I've given some photos to the chamber here and there, and they've tried to guest post, but it's not really, so no, the short answer. Yeah. But I'm listed on Briar Patch's favorite local blog, so, you know, other people get it. Yeah, do you want to, this one is our why everything should be your hub of your marketing?
Sure. The examples that are coming up are from your stuff.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, one of the things that Coryon could go on and on, but it's talking about why your blog should be the hub of your marketing. I think that when people I've talked to with local business sometimes have a little here and a little there and a little there, and it's kind of all over the map. What you should remember is that your blog should be your center thing. So I have a presence on lots of different social media sites. Like I have an Instagram account, but I am posting a photo that's most likely relevant for a blog post. I have an active Facebook page, and I'm posting a link back to the blog. I have a Google Plus page, and I post links to the blog. I have a Pinterest page where I'm sharing photos of my content and other people's content, and if you click on it, you'll come back to the blog. So all of the work that I do is hoping to drive you back to the blog, and the other social media platforms are just a way for outreach and promoting.
Yeah. Next.
Next. These are some examples of some pictures of various social media. So the top left is the Outside In's Facebook page. The bottom left is the Pinterest page. The bottom right is my Instagram account. And they're just, I mean, once again, I take photos, so I'm very visually driven for how I promote things. But they're just different ideas of ways to share what I'm doing in different platforms. And then what you were talking about with the tagging things. On the upper one you see there, I've tagged the Go Nevada County because they were the ones who had posted the link to the article about Nevada City being in some city's journal website. So I'm a link happy, tag happy girl. I feel like if we all help to promote each other in any way that you can get to that business, either through a link on my blog or on a tag on Facebook or a hashtag on Instagram, that's going to help that other business and improve my social media standing. So, does anyone have any questions about any of these ones?
Yeah. So I heard you say you use email to notify people about your blogs.
Yeah, and I mean, I probably have like a 90% success ratio. Like I did a blog post on the Nevada City Craft Fair and had some time management problems and finally got it up, and then I never emailed anyone because I was too busy and had house guests. So I'm not 100% foolproof.
So how do you,
most of the time I will, because I'm dealing with businesses, so most of their information is readily available. If I can, I'll link to their website. Hopefully someone's website has a contact us button on there that's readily available and easy to access. And I will take the time to send them all an email that says, hey, I wrote a blog post about the craft fair. I've included a link to your business. Here's the link to the blog post, and I've also tagged you on Facebook. Here's a link to my Facebook page. And then I always say, please share this, please comment, please like, or please reply, because unfortunately, not everyone believes in the social etiquette of acknowledgement. And so if anyone writes a blog post about you or business, do yourself a favor and thank them, because then you'll be like, oh, I like you, and we can work together. It's sort of one of those, everyone makes everyone else's life easier. We're all happy.
so what email program do you use?
Just my regular email. I just manually go in, copy, paste. I mean, many of the people I'm working with I've contacted or worked with before, so I have their email addresses in mind. So it's not a program, it's just me writing an email.
Well, and she's talking about business to business, not like her big newsletter, right?
Right. So my blog goes out on an auto email feed, which if you could subscribe, there's a box on the right-hand side of the blog that has subscribe to the email, and that's automated. And so every time I do a new blog post, it'll automatically send you the email. But you're correct. What I'm talking about is sending the email to the business that says, hey, my blog post about you is up. Here's the link.
So there's a box on your blog that says check to be on the email. How did you do that?
It's a plugin. My blog is a WordPress website.
That's what I'm looking for.
plugin.
Oh.
Yeah, there's various options. So this is just more social media. These are Google Plus and Twitter. So, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that we're talking about that idea of the blog being a hub of your social media marketing. Much of social media marketing is you trying to figure out, oh, how do I update my status on my Facebook page, or how do I, come up with a tweet. If you notice that, if you go back a slide, Erin, almost every single one of these examples has a link to a blog where she started out with the content was the blog post itself, and then that link is shared individually through each of the medium with whatever the context that's appropriate for the medium. So for example, if we look at the one for Facebook up here, there's about a paragraph, a couple of sentences, and it's got outside-in tagged as well as the link to the blog itself. If you were on Pinterest, then it's going to be just a sentence, a little more briefly. Go to the next slide. Then you look at, for example, Twitter, where oftentimes it's going to be, here's a link that goes back to the blog itself, and here's other places where she's just done a tweet tagging Jernigan's as something there. So consider, if you're working over time to do social media marketing, instead of having this fractured effort where you're posting different things on Twitter, different things on Facebook, different things on Pinterest, instead work to put most of your effort into your blog. And then, for example, with Twitter, you can take one blog post and include a sentence or a summary or something from it, and have 5 different sentences that would go out to Twitter. Each one would link back to the blog. So that you'd have one blog post, but maybe that would equate to 10 or 20 tweets over time. Susan?
Erin, do you use, and you, Coryon, do you use Buffer to organize this? Because I use that, and
It's fabulous.
it's great. So for those of you who don't know, Buffer, you pay every month $5 or something, and it doesn't link up to Pinterest, but it links up Facebook, any accounts you have on Facebook, and Twitter, and LinkedIn.
So it sounds to me similar to Hootsuite, which is a tool that I use. Essentially a dashboard where you can, in one place, put content that's going to go out to Twitter, Facebook,
Right.
LinkedIn, Pinterest, etc., right?
Yeah.
Some of that? Okay.
I think
one
that-
little difference between the Hootsuite, you schedule your posts at a certain time, like, so if it's like for a launch that's time specific, you would use Hootsuite, and if Buffer is more like a bucket list, so it's
But
just
you can
like.
schedule. I schedule different
Well, you
things.
schedule like what times a day you want it to go, and then you just throw stuff in the bucket and it sends it out at the next available time slot. So you can go in there and kind of move it around so
Yeah.
something would go out at the right time. But it's meant to just be like, ooh, I'm online, I see this, I'm gonna click it, it's gonna throw in my buffer and send it out at the next available time. So it's a little different, but
Okay.
it's
Good.
really fast and simple and easy.
Great, it's new. I haven't heard of that. I'll check
It's
it out.
faster and simpler than Hootsuite, I think.
So Erin, how do you organize it? Do you do each one?
Bufferapp.com.
Buffer.
Bufferapp.com.
Okay.
I kind of put myself into the category of ridiculous people who spend a lot of time on these sorts of
I
things.
see.
So I do have many of my things automated, so like my email feed is automated. Anytime I post on Facebook, it automatically goes to Twitter. Anytime I post on Pinterest, I have the option of automatically going to Twitter. I think of the other ones, but most of them I will manually update. So if I do a blog post, I'll then go to Facebook because I want to include a picture in my post, so I'll upload the photo and then include the link. And then at some point in time, I'll get around to sharing something on Instagram. And occasionally, eventually, I'll get around to doing. So like when I sit down to write a blog post from start to finish, let's say I had a bunch of pictures, I've already done whatever it is I took pictures of. It generally takes me about an hour from the time I edit the photos, write the post it, and then go through my little checklist of social media shares. So when people are thinking about time management, like, oh, I can't do this, it'll be too long. I don't know. I mean, an hour to me is, for the amount of return that I get, is a worthwhile investment of my time. Yeah. Blogging basics. Oh, you want to take over here?
Sure.
I think that it's also important to note that you don't have to do every platform. I think that if you want to find one that you're more interested in and you send it all back to your blog, then engage in whatever your community is. Like if you have a DIY website, then maybe Pinterest is the best option for you.
What is DIY?
Do it yourself.
Do it yourself. If you have, if you're Twitter is great for certain types of businesses. So I think that know which markets might be more applicable for your business and focus on those, and then everything else is a bonus.
Good. Okay. So I turned around to look to see, but it looked like at least half the crowd, maybe 3/4 of people. How many of you blog for your business? How many of you post blogs, have posted a blog within the last month? Okay. How about in the last week?
No.
Good. Okay. But it seems like still pretty active and consistent. Good. So let's talk about some basics. Blog should be on your website. There are many different blogging platforms, but having it on your website, so again, you're driving people to your website so they can look to see what your other products, services, information, what they are, is a key part of that. Also, consider using keywords in your blog. But the one thing that's important is don't go nuts. Have you guys ever read a blog that just was like spammed, filled with keywords, it's just hard to read? You ever seen one of those? They're terrible, and it's a search engine optimization technique where people said, okay, well what I want to do is have this really high density for these keywords. So hiking in Nevada City, so I'm going to talk about hiking in Nevada City. You can take this hike in Nevada City. You can go and take your backpack and put it on and then take a hike in Nevada City. It's not very good content. And so it means that it may rank better, which Google's smarter now. It's not going to help you that much more to load those in. But be aware of that, because I've seen oftentimes a beginner mistake where people will just say, okay, well I want to include keywords. Let's make sure that all my blog posts are keyword focused. No, just have some consideration there. Set a goal for frequency of posts. So that was why I asked those questions of how many people posted recently, because that's a failing I have because of everything else I'm doing. I'm not that consistent. Therefore, I have not built a really big following on my blog. Erin, on the other hand, has been able to consistently post multiple times per week, every week, week in and week out. There are times where she's going to be on vacation for a couple weeks. She will schedule blogs to go out, which, by the way, is part of WordPress. You can write a blog post, you can schedule it to go out when you're not anywhere near a computer. You could be in the middle of the Grand Canyon with no computer access. But still, you're blogging, your social media marketing is still cooking.
I think that people sometimes think that, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm just going to be awesome. And I look at blogs on every website that I go to because I'm obviously interested in it. And if you have a blog and you haven't updated it in 2 years and it's still on your website, or you did it like once every 6 months, that almost looks worse for your business than if you just removed the blog and took it down. So I think that consistency is important for something that's realistic. If you blog once a quarter, that's fine, as long as you consistently do it once every 3 months. If you want to do something once a month, that's not a bad time frame, depending on what your business is. Just pick a number and stick to it.
Yeah, and set a goal for yourself that you think is reasonable. Also work to plan out your content. Work to set those topics, ideas that you're going to blog, and if possible, spend some time before you launch that blog writing them up and saying, okay, I can have a few things in my buffer, in my bucket that I can go to say, okay, not only do I have topics, but maybe I've pre-written some of these blogs. Or if you're an author like Jim, if he wanted to blog, he could go and mine all of the books and all of the things that he's written in the past, and he would have a lot of content. So consider those resources that you have, that as much as possible, give yourself a chance to not have to sit down on a Monday morning and say, I need to blog right now and get this posted to meet my goal by publishing this by noon today. It's a lot of pressure, and it also means that the quality may diminish. Key basics, check your spelling and grammar. Your speller. Check your spelling and grammar. It's really important because, for example, there's somebody here in town who is an image consultant, and he posts regularly on Facebook. My favorite game, when he was posting consistently, was seeing how many spelling errors there was in his posting, because some of you may know who I'm talking about. Because it just, makes you look bad if you can't spell and you don't have these basic things out there. So for example, I work with Rachel, who's in the back of the room. She has often caught where I've done Y-O-U-R-E instead of Y-O-U-R. And she's like, what are you doing? Fix that!
Spell check will do that for you.
No, spell check won't do that for you. No, it won't consistently. You need to read it yourself, and ideally, if you have somebody else, reading out loud helps. And ideally, if you have some friends, confidants, somebody that you can go to and say, hey, do me a favor, can you just read through this and see if there's anything else you catch? A lot of times, I know this because I'm moving very fast much of the time, I'm not going to catch it myself, I need some help. To say, okay, hey, I didn't notice that I was doing that because I was moving at the speed of light and I should have slowed down and checked my work.
You could be like me and have blog readers you don't know personally send you emails. Oh, hey, by the way, you've used the wrong word. Oh, but you can fix it. Like a blog is not, you haven't printed 10,000 copies of them. Just go back in and edit the post and then you'll be like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, look again. I don't think you got that right. Promoting social media, we've talked about that, but that's also something, I did a presentation about social media and blogging for a group of writers, and I saw that there were writers who were really actively blogging, and that's where it stopped. They really didn't do anything to promote what they were doing into social media and create those connections. So just consider that as a basics, that if you're just blogging, it's not enough. Blog and work to either pick 1 or 2 social media websites that you can focus on, or, like Erin does, expand that into multiple. Okay, so again, this goes back to the basic marketing where we talk about the first step of marketing is knowing your audience. Really consider that, spend some time, do some research, find out who else is in your space who's blogging, what does the content, who are the people that seem to interact there. There's tools, for example, you can do research online, there's a number of tools, but you can do Facebook research, you can do Google research, you can do keyword research. Consider what you're saying is best matched if you're matching what your audience is most interested in and what they're likely to enjoy, share, and consume. And one of the ways that I think about that as far as that process of seeing where my audience might be is fish where the fish are. So if I was working to create blog content about from the outside in, let's take your example. I might look at travel websites and see where are there travel websites where people are talking about different California destinations or information about traveling or information about what you need to remember to bring to a motel, what have you. That's going to be more focused and more niche and more likely to find your best audience than if you just are promoting everywhere. So spending some time looking at focused content websites, periodicals, forums, those are places where you can, regardless of what you're writing about, what you're blogging about, there's likely to be niche enthusiast websites that match your best audience. And spending some time there is not only going to help you figure out places you can promote to and relationships to build, but you're also likely to get some inspiration about your content itself. What do you see that people are most interested in discussing? What are the kind of conflicts or the controversies or the places that people are getting passionate about different topics? And that leads you to brainstorming a list of topics. And I encourage this. How many of you who are bloggers have done that? Just written up a long list of different topics. How has that helped you?
Oh, it's tremendous because it's an evolving list, right? It's like you come up with these brainstorming ideas and then it seems good at the time, but then maybe you get out there and resonate it off with some people and maybe it's not so good, or you come back 2 days later and it doesn't quite seem as good as when you brainstorm it. So it's just in a constantly evolving list, and it's something that you instead of sitting down Monday morning and it's like, I gotta write about one thing, it's like, well, what can I pick for my 5 or 10 topics out there? So it's a very helpful technique.
Exactly. Great. Well said. Thank you.
I think that a good example in mine is that when I started the business, I knew I didn't want to write a blog about the hotel. And there are plenty of stories to be told, but that's not going to help my business if I share those stories that I can't say out loud in public. I wanted to promote a positive experience in our area. And so I think that sometimes people try to focus too closely on what your business is, and maybe you should think about it in a slightly wider spectrum, and that will hopefully give you more ideas of things to write about.
Absolutely. And the other key part about brainstorming is to let it all hang out. Even if it's a terrible idea, and you write it down and you're like, oh, that's terrible. You might come back to it a day later and say, well, actually, if I tweak that, maybe I could take that terrible idea and make it into something that is actually interesting and worth writing and sharing some content. Keyword research. This goes to my roots as from search engine optimization, but it is important that you recognize that the ways that people search is going to influence the way they're considering a topic and where they're at their headspace. So understanding the specific phrases. So for example, I've worked with lots of businesses and I've seen a growing trend over the last several years of people asking questions like, what is blank? How to blank? And those are things that can easily become blog topics, where you say how to add watermarks to photos. And that's something that covers what you're doing in your business and saying, okay, people want to know this basic question. I can go and do a little bit of research, find some tools, share what I do, and it's something that is answering the question that your audience is asking. That's the nature of keywords, that you're really getting some insight. It's market research. And it's directly how people are searching on search engines, which again, those are keywords that may end up leading to your website. Erin has many pages on blog posts that get traffic directly from Google because that content is what people are searching for. So Christmas card or hikes in Nevada City or restaurants in Nevada City, etc., all within this realm of what she has an expertise on. Another thing that you can consider as far as your content goes, survey your customers. That can be done as easily as through Twitter. Put a tweet out there that says, hey, I'm considering doing something to focus on the summertime in Nevada City, or what are the challenges you have in internet marketing? That's a simple way to do that. It can be done through social media. You can easily set up a SurveyMonkey survey and say, hey, what do you guys think? Consider also that in internet marketing, in the realm of internet, clicking on something is easy, doing about anything else is hard. So that may be a place where you're very personally asking some of your friends, allies, best customers, evangelists, do you mind just taking a moment and helping me out? I want to get your perspective on this. And I've done that with a variety of businesses and really seen that there is an audience perspective that oftentimes is really a breath of fresh air and insightful for a business. As many of us are, we are working in our business and our headspace is about my perspective on the business, opposed to the way your audience, your market is actually considering what you do. And there's a variety of social listening tools. A few of the ones that I use regularly are Google Alerts. How many people use Google Alerts? Good, handful. How many of you have no idea what I'm saying when I say Google Alerts? Okay, that side of the room. Google Alerts is a way that you can have an email sent to your inbox related to any keywords you're interested in.
Really?
So the way you access it is if you go to Google. Along the top of Google, I'm not going to jump out of the presentation to demonstrate this, there's a link for news. When you do a search within that section of Google, at the very bottom of the page, it'll say create an email alert for this. So for example, I've worked with some solar companies. And a big question with solar installation companies is about solar rebates, right? So what the audience is interested in is, what's the latest solar rebates? Are there California rebates? What are the incentives programs? That's changing pretty rapidly. So for them to create good social media content, one of the things that would be great if they can keep going to their audience, and whenever there's a new rebate program or there's a community that does something that's a solar rebate, they can be one of the first places to publish and discuss that in social media. And again, this is something that is pushed to you. So instead of you remembering that you have to search every week for solar rebates, you get an email with a summary of how it's being discussed in the media, on blogs, and other websites. Other search engines like Topsy and Social Mention, they are search engines for social media. So it means that if you go to socialmention.com and you typed in solar rebates, you would see people on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, wherever that keyword is being used or discussed, you'll see that conversation, and it'll also show you what the top users are related to those keywords. So it's a way that you might find people who are particularly interested and active on social media for what you do. So whatever that topic might be, those are now targets for you, that if you find somebody who's a blogger and active on Twitter that discusses a certain topic, that's a way to find them and engage them. we can both talk about this because we did this slide certainly together. Overall, think about answering the questions from your audience. And a key aspect there is thinking about both the questions that your audience is asking, as well as the questions your audience should be asking. So can anybody give an example of that, where what is a question your audience is asking, and how would you tweak that? How would you reframe that question for something you really think they should be asking? Nation.
A lot of times people will ask, what kind of video camera should I use for putting videos up? And a real question they should be asking is, what kind of audio or microphone should I be using?
Great, good example. Let's get another one. So for your business, what is a question you think your audience often is asking? And what's a question you think that really is more insightful that they should be asking? Yeah.
They're asking, how do I stop fighting? The question I think they should be asking is, what happens right before the fight that you can intercept?
Triggers.
Yeah.
Good. So spending some time on that is good content, because there's a formula called the 10-10-4 formula, which essentially says, hey, if you can create videos, create 10 videos that answer the questions your market is asking, create 10 videos answering the questions they should be asking, and offer that as content to your market. And have people coming back to your website because they see that you really have some insight there. And it also is a process where you'll really get some more insight about what they're thinking and how to bridge those gaps and how those different questions can be rephrased.
Wait, what's the 4?
4 are 4 kind of promotional videos that come together to actually get them to opt in and say, you like this video, what you really want is access to all 20 of these videos, trade us your name and email address. So they're specific kind of more salesmanship, more closing the deal. That's Jeff Walker, by the way.
And the $3.95.
$395? There you go. You made the price of admission right there. Cross-promotion and co-marketing. Again, Erin spoke to this, but how many of you guys have no clue what a hashtag is about in social media? What is a hashtag? Okay. So anybody want to take a stab at what, if you did not raise your hand, what is a hashtag? Yeah.
Basically, it's tagging. It's like if you were tagging a person's profile on Facebook, instead of that, you're kind of tagging a topic. And so that anytime someone could do a search for the hashtag with that topic, they're going to find everything that comes up, right?
Yeah. So one of the ways that I think about it is, how many of you have heard of or are familiar with, in the library here, of the Dewey Decimal System? Right? So that is an information organization schema that you can look by topic, you can look by author, you can look by book title. Hashtags are essentially that same thing, but they're really democratic, which means that anyone can come up with their own hashtag saying, hashtag Nevada County Online, which means anyone who tweets or shares social media that includes that hashtag, just that pound symbol, plus those words, is now organizing that and say, this is what this tweet relates to.
But that's only in regards to tweeting, it's hashtags, right?
No, it's used on Pinterest, it's used on Facebook, it's used on most social media now. If it's not on social media that you're playing with, it will be soon. Because
I could use a good example. So I wanted to write the blog post about the Nevada City Classic, the bike race, and I wanted to include the results. But I didn't actually go to the finish, and there was all this technical issues with the results. So I spent 10 minutes on Twitter looking under the hashtag Nevada City Classic to see who else was out there. And then you find people that, I don't know who they are, who are literally down at the award ceremony, and they're taking a picture of the results, and they're tagging the people who have won, and they're doing shout-outs for the bike teams that have gotten, or that are on the podium. And so it's live information. So I wanted to write my blog post right then. And I don't know if the newspaper ever published the results. The actual cycling organization that publishes them did it like 24 hours later. I wanted it right then and there. So with the search of the hashtag Nevada City Classic, I was able to find the information I wanted from people who were down there at the podium. So it's a good way to find information when you're looking for it.
Yes. And it is democratic in that anybody can go and create their own hashtag, but it's also being used by businesses, whether that's their brand name. One of the things that if you're Keebler Cookies, you're watching the internet really carefully to see where Keebler gets hashtagged so that you can respond quickly if there's complaints or there's problems. It's a way to really monitor what's going on there. And there's many examples where companies, etc., got an inkling of what people were talking about and thinking very quickly because they saw the hashtag. Yeah?
Great example of that is the Super Bowl last year. Oreo Cookies had a social media team that was just basically hanging out watching the game. And when the lights got killed, they immediately brainstormed, and I think they said within 2 minutes they had a post that said you could still dunk in the dark. So the hashtag was dunk in the dark, and it was just exploded. And
Yeah.
it was amazing.
So you could still hashtag dunk in the dark?
Yeah.
Like
And if
that?
you wanted to, yeah, I would be branding their branding. I mean, that's for people to go to them.
I
But
mean, where do you put the hashtag? Right before the phrase?
oh yeah, it's a number sign right before the phrase, and it's always run together.
Okay.
Yeah. And it doesn't, there's many different formats for it. It really is evolving right now. It can be done at the beginning of a tweet, for example, because oftentimes when tweets are retweeted, the end is chopped off, so you tend to put something like that at the beginning. Oftentimes it's something saying, I like Oreo cookies, where if Oreo, you just hashtag that, it would be I like hashtag Oreo cookies. So it really can vary. Okay. Contests and giveaways. Erin gave a great example where if you're doing contests, giveaways, it creates energy, it creates excitement, it's a promotion. Use your blog to create content on your website. So there are many examples where a blog post then turns into something that you're either adding to your navigation on your website because it's an important topic, or you find out that people are really interested in it and you say, okay, how do I repurpose this and make this a permanent page based on what I wrote about with that blog post? And there's examples on Outside In.
So I have lots and lots of content, and you could spend hours searching through my blog to find things, but maybe you're a guest at the Outside In who calls me the week before and says, well, is there anywhere to eat near the Outside In? I said, oh yeah, I got this great drop-down menu on my homepage that says things to do. Click on the page that says eating out. So you just click, and then the page on that says eating out lists every single blog post I've done about eating out in Nevada City. And so it's like a one-stop shop. Oh, where can I go to eat? Oh, click, and they take them all back to the blog post. So it's me taking the content and repackaging it into a way that's useful. And the other things to do page, there's outdoor adventures. So I've listed every single hike and every single bike ride that I've done a blog post in the past. So it's a lot faster for someone if they wanted to find that information without having to go searching through the content in the blog.
Great.
That's good.
I heard that's good information. I hope that's been whispered consistently internally for all of you in here. Use stock photography. For Erin, she's a photographer, but a blog is like a magazine. If you're just doing a block of text, it's no good. Including pictures, and a way to do that is there's a lot of inexpensive stock photography websites out there.
And just in case people don't know, microstock, you can buy images for 50 cents, $1.50, $2.
What was, say the name again?
Microstock is a type of industry, it's not a brand name. There is like iStock photo?
Yeah, iStockPhotos.com.
Yeah. So that's a legitimate way to get a photograph from a photographer who's made a good
I
job.
haven't found 50 cents a photo yet.
Well, actually, that's what the photographer gets paid. It usually costs about $1.50.
Right.
Just have a question about contests. I've tried to brainstorm how to run them before, and I know there's like contest companies. It just seems like this big gray, confusing area. How am I going to manage people's responses? And like if there are multiple, I guess you wouldn't do it in multiple platforms, but like going through everybody's response, if it's a Facebook post, or like how do I pick the winner?
So I've tried. I've had a few learning opportunities on contests, and my best advice for you is to figure out what the terms are before you do the contest, and make sure if there's like a time frame for when they can redeem it, a time frame for how many times they can enter, that those are all stated in there. If there's any clauses whatsoever, put it in there to begin with. But I do my contest just by doing a post or comment on the blog, and then I have their email address, because you have to enter an email address to post a comment. And then at this date that I've specified when I'm going to draw the winner, I just go to random.org and type in 1 through 50, and it picks a random number.
And we have a talk here about prize services.
Yes. So if you look on the website, there was a presentation done by Dave Polivy of Tahoe Mountain Sports, went into a lot of details there. Both that presentation, the PowerPoint, and the video are available on the website. What Erin said about terms are really important. You can run contests directly through Facebook. You can run contests that are then Pinterest and Facebook looking together. There are a lot of options out there, but I especially recommend to start being narrow in your focus, going through some best practices, and seeing how it works with a narrow focus, and then from there, being more ambitious.
What was that guy's name again?
Dave Polivy. So if you go to Nevada County Online and just go to videos, and there's also a link for presentations, both of those are available.
Cool.
And he was really successful doing that. Susie?
1 minute for Q and then Q&A.
Okay.
I'm giving you your...
So we're not going to get through the whole presentation, which is fun. That's the way I usually roll. I like the interaction. I did want to mention that there are many different places that you can do blogging in. There's Tumblr, Squidoo, Blogger, Squarespace, Hub Pages. But the one that really I recommend people toward is WordPress. There are many reasons to use it. It is SEO friendly, it can power your entire website, it's free, it's an open source community, there's lots of support. It's very customizable with themes and plugins and different tools, but WordPress is the way to go. Is anyone here who's blogging not in WordPress? What are you using?
Weebly, and that was a question I had. It's not working.
No, it's not designed for it, it's not very powerful or very good. So, but Weebly, on the other hand, is a very inexpensive way of making a website, so there's a trade-off there.
Can I add a WordPress blog to my Weebly website?
I don't think so. Okay, so lots more references. We're not going to go through this, but for those of you, it sounds like many of you are blogging and in WordPress. This is all information that you're going to see. So that's the 1 minute. Let's do 5 minutes of questions and answers to see if there's anything else.
Could you please put that last one back up there?
This one?
Yes.
So again, don't worry about writing down all of these links on there. The only link you really need to write down is this entire presentation is available through my website. So Coryon.com/NCO-vlogging.
Any reason why it's not being put on the NCO's website?
It will be, yeah. So Coryon.com/NCO-vlogging. And the main thing is just, that's my habit when I do a presentation. Is the last thing I do when I polish it is just putting it on my website and putting it on the title slide. It's unusual to have NCO presentations. I used to do that. Okay, yeah.
Well, I've had trouble getting motivated to start a blog because I can't imagine making the time in my schedule to read other people's blogs.
Then you wouldn't be a good blogger.
Okay.
I don't think that one should start a blog if you're not at all passionate about it. I think that a lot of times people are like, oh, I have a business, I need to do this. That's not a good enough reason to do a blog. Like, it's a lot of work, it takes commitment, and if you're not at all interested in doing it, don't even go there. That would be my advice. But if you did find a blog that you were interested in and reading it, it might help you decide what your voice is and maybe what your purpose is and how you're going to package it all together.
And that was the other thing that I'd say, since you're a photographer, follow Erin's example that you can figure out how to be photography heavy with not having to do that many words. Just figure out where those topics and those photos are that you can link together to the blogs. And that might make it a little bit easier to say, okay, it doesn't have to be writing 500 words every time. It could be 5 pictures and 50 words.
What's your take on text content versus video content?
It depends on the market and it depends on your abilities. So the one thing about creating videos, and you can talk to Doug Green about that because that's what he does, the barriers to entry are a lot easier. So you can do videos off of your phone, make sure the sound quality, like Craig, I think it was Mason that mentioned, but sound quality has to be good. If you can put a camera on yourself and you're comfortable there and you can create videos pretty quickly, it's pretty easy to create a video and publish that. As far as the market and how they consume it, people love video. And as far as the number of videos being produced and watched, it's continuing to grow every year. If you are more comfortable writing, like as I said, I've done presentations for writer-specific groups. If I would say, hey, you guys want to do video, they would be like, I don't want to be on camera, that's intimidating and frightening. Whereas if you talk to high school kids, they'd say, oh yeah, I can point my iPhone at myself and do a video. That's what I do for my Vine videos. That's easy. So it really does change, but it's going to be, and I see the trend is going to be more and more video content over time.
People have asked me that, and I can do a video, but it's not my strength, and it'll take me many times as long, and so why not stick to what I'm good at?
Right. And for your people in the crowd that are not high school kids, I just recommend you check out Vine videos sometime, just to see that medium and seeing what's there. They're 7-minute videos that tell a story or do something funny or promotional. Huh?
Seconds.
7 minutes, I said? Seconds. 7 seconds. 7 seconds.
Where is this? What was the source?
Just do a search in Google for, I think it's Vine.com, but Vine videos, V-I-N-E. But that's where the market's going, is that quick bits.
Is it Vine.com or VineVideos.com?
If somebody can check that, you can check. I think it's just Vine.com. But
Is this going to be on NC Nevada County Online? Isn't it filmed? And
Yeah.
you could watch it?
yes,
The whole thing?
yes.
Okay, good.
We're just a little bit backlogged on that right now because we have volunteers that are doing, Richard Mathis right now, who is living in Mexico, just taking a while for us to get the videos uploaded, edited and uploaded.
Doing that?
Huh?
Doing that in
Yeah.
Mexico?
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Do one more question before we close up? Okay. So did anyone talk to Machen to find out if we do have a sponsor?
I did, and we don't. So next month we do, and do you know your date next month? Of when you're presenting? What day it is?
Well, it's the fourth Tuesday, yeah.
Okay, who has a calendar? Let's look it up. And Doug, tell us a little bit about what you're going to be talking about.
So this is going to be a system for creating basically 3-minute videos, marketing videos for YouTube, and I'll go through the equipment using Google Hangouts and basically tools that are all there by Google. So you can just snap through them, and I'll be showing you a formula that works pretty well for structuring the videos.
It'll be really, really interesting. So that's July 22nd, because Matt, our IT guy and technical man, actually looked at a calendar. Not a paper one, no doubt. July.
Yes.
Yeah,
July.
July 22nd.
Cool.
And Doug will be presenting, has anybody done anything on Google Plus, Google Hangout? Yeah, I want to. I just think it's a very exciting territory, so I'm really excited to hear about it. So if you have not donated your $5 to keep us going, we really appreciate it. Laura is back there with the basket. And next month we'll have some sort of goodie. Yes?
Is there a way to do that online? Can we go on the website? Because I didn't catch it.
No. This is an issue that we would love to figure out if anybody knows how, because we don't have a bank account. And for PayPal, you have to have a bank account. Because
So that's us, we have to figure that out.
we have to figure it out. Anybody who is smart enough to help us figure it out, we'd love to hear from you. Because we're just all volunteers, and we're not a structure that has a bank account. So if
Yeah,
anybody
we
knows.
discussed becoming an association, but it's one of those homework assignments that we never
Yeah,
quite
it
get
just
done.
keeps putting off down below. So anybody who has an idea, please let us know.
And I will make a commitment to the group, and so now that I'm saying this verbally, it will happen. I will bring little receipt booklets, so if you're paying me cash, and you want to use that as a business write-off, I will provide you with a handwritten receipt for that.
Isn't she clever? Yeah.
I don't need it, so nobody gives a darn.
And
Okay?
what you
And I
can
will
do-
buy it, and you two can figure that out.
You can pay twice next month if you want.
Under $25, you can write anything off, I guess, so there you go.
Yeah. So we thank you all for coming. We suggest you look at Nevada County Online Meetup, NevadaCountyOnline.com, Facebook, Nevada County, and post some questions. And thank you all. If you want to be involved with us, let us know. If you want to have a speaker idea, I think let Coryon know.